Hi, my name is Yeirasusen Filomeno. I am a mom of 3. I am married to Nick Filomeno, and I'm a working mom full-time. The testimony begins, it was Mother's Day of last year, and I found out that I was pregnant. During that time, me and Nick had decided we didn't want to have another baby financially because we were scared and we wanted to dedicate ourselves to our other young ones. And I knew that Nick wouldn't get angry and whatnot, but the terror inside me was still there, that, this may be the deal breaker of a third pregnancy. So I told him that night on Mother's Day, and sure enough, I was shocked. I was crying to him, and he was like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "You know what? It's not because I'm angry at you." And I yelled out at him, "I'm pregnant." And he started crying too. When I looked up, I was like, "You're crying too?" He's like, "Yeah, tears of joy." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're crying because you're happy that I'm pregnant again." He's like, "Why wouldn't I be? You're holding my third child in there." And that's how it began. And from there, we started getting stronger and stronger and stronger. We went through the few appointments to find out that I was actually pregnant. When we finally came around the 4 to 5 month frame, that's when I was going to find out what the gender of the baby would be. From there, my mom wanted to be a surprise, and so of course I went into the appointment. Nick, working full time, wasn't able to go with me, so my mother was with me with my Isaac and my Avery in the car, waiting for me as I went to my ultrasound. During that ultrasound, that's when they told me, everything looks great, it's a healthy baby, but at the end result, after all the findings, we noticed that his head is shaped like a lemon. And we see that there's a lot of water retention inside his head. The spine isn't fully developed, and there's a hole in his back. We also see that the spine is pulling on the brain or the cerebellum on the back of his head. So it's pulling everything out. What was going to happen was they told me that my baby would not be normal. What's normal, he wouldn't be able to walk. He would be wheelchair bound, or he would be a full, complete vegetable. He would probably just have movement of his head, and they just advised, you should probably terminate because it doesn't seem probable to have a child this way. They didn't believe that he would have any other great things that would happen to him. They just said it's too much of a risk for you to carry, and the baby's just going to be suffering a lot. And they advised, are you and your husband able to take care of this? It's like, if not, we do go on ahead and terminate. We would like for you to terminate the pregnancy. At that point, I was shocked because the doctor came up to me and personally says, "I would like you to terminate." And I still was trying to comprehend all the information she was telling me. I said, "Thank you. Can I have my ultrasound as a disc?" And she told me, "Okay, well, you can always come back and we can always schedule termination for you." And she was just dead on strong, we have to terminate the baby. So from there, I just stepped out of the room and I cried a lot. So then after that, I was like, what am I going to tell my mom? What am I going to tell Nick? So I muscled up everything I had and I went back in the car, and I still had my CD, but they also gave me the envelope for the gender of the baby. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to pretend everything's fine. I sit in the car with my mom. She's all happy and go lucky, and I'm like, here's the envelope, Mom. And she's like, oh my God, I can't wait to see. And she noticed that I'm off. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, Mom, there's something wrong. I have to tell you. I can't keep it a secret. They told me that my baby has spina bifida. His head is lemon-shaped. There's a lot of water in his head, and the spine is coming out. The spine is pulling on his brain, and it's coming out from the back where he has a hole because it didn't develop correctly. They want me to terminate. They want me to have an abortion. And she started bawling. She started crying so much, and she was like, why? I can't believe this is happening. And I'm like, Mom, I know, I can't, I don't understand either. And we both didn't move, and all I can hear in the background is my kids screaming, Mommy, no cry, Mama, no cry. And I'm like, oh, we're not crying. So then we drove home, and she's decided on a red stop, I'm going to find out the gender. There's no point of us celebrating because we don't know what the future holds right now. Let's just find out what the baby is. She took out the envelope, and then she started crying some more. And then I started crying because I'm like, I know what it is. It's a boy. Obviously, we have a boy and We went through some specialists, and the specialists finally, they said, like after a while, we just went with, before the specialist, we went through my ultrasounds, and every time I would have an appointment with my OB-GYN, they would always say, oh my God, this is the worst case ever. This is just terrible. The brain is coming out more. It's like, there's no point, you should terminate. And they always push for termination. I would call my mother-in-law and I would cry and on the phone and tell her, it's like, they just told me it's getting progressively worse. There's no point to carry on the pregnancy. She would cry too. Nick's mom would cry with me. She's like, honey, we support you, whatever you want. If you want to abort or keep, I don't want to be in your shoes. You decide what's best for you. So then I continued. I'm like, you know what? I can't. I feel my baby moving. I'm already more than 5 months along. I just cannot consider terminating or aborting my baby. He's moving. I feel him moving. They say he's a vegetable. But why is he moving inside me? So then we finally get an appointment with the specialist at Lurie's Hospital. They do the MRIs, they do everything that they need to open up the case with me. They finally see what's wrong. Yes, my baby does have spina bifida. The worst case ever? Of course not. They finally go and say, it's like, this is not the worst case. It's like, sure, he has an opening in the spine, but it's not as bad as what the other doctor said. And it's like, he has full leg movement too. He's not going to be a vegetable. And I was like, unbelievable. I can't believe it. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm done with the crying. I'm done with everything. I should have always just kept my faith strong like it was before. And then from there, they said I was a candidate after they did some rigorous testing on me and on baby JD. They just said, like, you do qualify for having surgery. You would have surgery at a certain time frame. We would cut you open from the belly button down to the pelvis, and we would insert 3 robotic mini robots into your uterus, and then we would work on his back. Thankfully, because we were both very healthy, we agreed with it. It was a very strong and hard process to do, but we overcame it. And at the end results, even within the surgery was hard itself. The recovery, and then having to deal like the miscarriage, having to be on bed rest, having to be on high blood pressure medication, although I don't have high blood pressure, but they use that medication in order for me not to contract. It did give me lots of migraines. It made me wobbly. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I became very with anxiety, like I need to leave, I need to get out, but all in the process, like it's fine. I'm going to be there. My baby's going to be here. We're progressing in the right step. I'm not going to go and do something because I can't. Well, I want to get up and I'm going to mess everything up. And from there, it's like the faith of me became more stronger and stronger. It's like, I got this, we got this. We're not going to cry anymore. And it's like, we're done crying and we're just going to head on strong. Surgery was performed. Everything was successful. From there, recovery was very difficult. The baby was moving and my surgery site was healing as the belly was growing as well. So my scar where they cut me open would sometimes bleed because my belly would grow with baby growth and it would expand. So then my scar would stretch out and then my baby would move and it would hurt. So I would cry in tears and I wouldn't be able to move. I'd be stuck laying down on the sofa, not knowing what to do. My kids just saying, mommy has ouchie, and they would get scared when I would start crying because I couldn't tolerate the pain sometimes. I wasn't able to take pain meds down because of the baby. So I just had to, warm up to everything and be like, okay, this is my new life for the next 2 months or so. So then after that, I was able to recover, and then I recovered in order to have a natural birth. And from there, from the natural birth, he came out, and sure enough, he has full body movement of everything. It's nothing like the doctors, my previous OB-GYN said that he would be a vegetable. He's fully growing. He's gaining weight. He moves his feet. He moves his arms. And he's starting to coo now. He recognizes people. He smiles at you, and when he smiles at you, it breaks your heart to feel like this baby wouldn't be here, because I was at the edge of myself of terminating because I couldn't bring myself to bring a baby that would be able to move. I wouldn't be able to bring a baby knowing that he would grow up and be like, why can't I run? Why can't I move my arms? Why am I in a wheelchair? I couldn't. There wasn't the life for me that I could bear to do to my child. And I look at him and it's like, he doesn't need any of that. Sure, he's in physical therapy. Sure, he's doing some other things that he requires to help reach his milestones. But it's nothing like the doctors had told me that it was going to be. That he was going to be not a normal baby. He can go to the bathroom for himself, for crying out loud. And from there, it continues on. The testimony continues on of showing proof that with faith and patience, anything can occur. And even within any bad situation, you would always find a light in everything. I came to peace of knowing that if I wasn't able to give birth to my baby and he would pass away, that at the end result, Nick and I came into terms that we would counsel other couples going through the same issue with spina bifida, because our baby was part of the spina bifida club at this point. So now we're in that program that if couples need the assistance, we're there to be there for them. If they don't know what's going on, we can share our experience with them as a married couple, the hardships that we went through and how we overcame it. And one of the best ways that we overcame it is because Nick continued to go to church while I was in recovery. And I continue to have my faith while in recovery and not being able to go anywhere, knowing that God's got my back. I don't need to worry anymore. And I gave him all my worries to him.